Could there be a creature born from the depths of nightmares with bat-like wings, fiercely glowing horns, and a putrid stench capable of inducing loss of consciousness while haunting the town and preying on unsuspecting passers-by with malevolent intent? Such a monstrous creature came straight out of the fictional world into Van Meter in the early 1900s, and the only evidence that remains to this day is a black-and-white photograph captured by one of the residents of the town, yet the memory of its terrifying presence still lingers in the minds of the town's residents. Who knows if the creature still roams the shadows, waiting to emerge once more and forever alter the lives of those who dare to cross its path. The lives of the residents of Van Meter, Iowa, were forever altered on the night of September 29, when U.G. Griffith briskly made his way through the deserted city's business district. The late hour ensured a lack of any activity, and he found himself halfway along the main street, with his home still a frustrating 10-minute hike away. Suddenly his eyes were drawn to something perched atop a nearby rooftop, a silhouette unlike anything he had ever seen before. The figure loomed ominously against the night sky, its outline obscured by the shadows cast by the surrounding buildings. As he drew closer, Griffith's heart began to race, his footsteps echoing loudly in the empty street. The figure remained motionless, its form shrouded in darkness, save for two piercing points of light that seemed to burn with an otherworldly intensity. Perched atop the roof of a nearby Methar and Gregg building, something resembling an open lantern was casting its gentle glow onto the empty street below, its light flickering softly in the stillness of the night. Griffith, proceeding confidently along the deserted road, suddenly found himself taken aback as the lantern's light inexplicably shot into the sky, illuminating the darkness with an eerie brilliance before settling on another rooftop several meters away. Suddenly, as the creature shifted, its massive wings unfurled with a rustle of leathery membranes. Griffith gasped in horror as he realized the true nature of the creature before him. It was no bird, but a monstrous being with wings like those of a bat and eyes that glowed with an unearthly light. A foul stench filled the air, assaulting Griffith's senses and causing him to recoil in disgust. The creature let out a low guttural growl, its horned head swiveling to fix its gaze upon him with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. Momentarily perplexed, Griffith once again gathered his resolve and continued his determined stride, calling out for whoever held the lantern to reveal themselves. To his astonishment, the light once again ascended into the heavens, passing directly over him before alighting on the rooftop across the street. Completely dumbfounded by the inexplicable phenomenon unfolding before his eyes, Griffith could only stand in stunned silence as the light continued its upward journey, disappearing into the night sky without a trace. After a brief moment of bewilderment, Griffith shook his head in disbelief and resumed his journey with the memory of the mysterious light burning brightly in his mind. A creeping sense of unease slithered its way into Griffith's consciousness as he continued to fixate on the strange shape before him. Was it merely a bird, or perhaps a trick of the light playing tricks on his weary mind, or could it be something far more sinister lurking in the darkness, waiting to reveal its dreadful secrets? This was the first ever encounter with the Van Meter visitor, and after this day a series of events unfolded one by one, providing evidence of such a creature lurking in the city. The following day, Griffith wasted no time in sharing his harrowing experience, and as the sun rose over the small town, Griffith sought out his neighbors and friends, eager to recount the terrifying events of the previous night. Word of Griffith's encounter spread quickly throughout the tight-knit community, sparking a mixture of curiosity, fear, and disbelief among the townsfolk. As the day wore on, more witnesses came forward, claiming to have seen strange lights and heard eerie noises echoing through the night. Rumors swirled, fueled by speculation and fear, as the residents of Van Meter grappled with the unsettling possibility that something otherworldly was lurking in their midst. Despite the skepticism of some, Griffith's account gained traction as he was a well-respected and honest man by all accounts in Iowa, prompting local authorities to launch an investigation. Police officers patrolled the streets, armed with lanterns and rifles, while residents kept a wary eye on the rooftops and alleyways. The following night, a town physician named Dr. A.C. Alcott claimed to have been awakened by a piercing bright beam of light shining directly in his face from outside a nearby window while he was sleeping in his office on the main street. He jumped awake and ran outside to see what it was, grabbing a gun in fear that it might be a trespasser. However, what he witnessed was something completely out of this world. According to Olcott's account, the creature appeared to be a tall humanoid form framed by huge bat-like wings, with a long sharpened beak protruding from its face and a single dreadful horn on the top of its head, from which the stifling beam of light was sparkling. With a cry of terror, Olcott raised his gun and reportedly shot the creature 5 times before ending up in shock after none of the bullets affected the creature, and the creature simply looked down at him, inadvertently blinding him with the light that was pouring forth from its horn, and then flew away into the darkness. Following the encounter, Olcott hastily ran back to his room, securing every lock as a sense of unease settled over him. With adrenaline still coursing through his veins, he waited anxiously, hoping for the nightmare to come to an end. Peering cautiously outside after some time, he found no trace of the creature, but the memory of its ominous presence lingered in his mind. The accounts of Griffith and Olcott spread like wildfire throughout the city, capturing the imagination of the townsfolk and skeptics who had dismissed Griffith's story, now found themselves reconsidering. On the same fateful night, Clarence Peter Dunn, a bank cashier, claimed to have encountered the creature while on night duty at the bank. Dunn reported hearing a strange gasping-like sound from just outside the nearby window at around 2 a.m. Fearing potential bank robbers, he loaded a repeating shotgun with buckshot shells and stood ready to protect his funds, when suddenly a sharp penetrative light blurred his vision. Completely startled by the unidentified figure, Dunn fired his gun, causing the creature to flee. The following day, there were no signs of blood, only unusual footprints with 3 toes, further adding to the intrigue. Without allowing the residents of Van Meter to connect the dots and delve deeper into the mystery, the next evening brought yet another traumatic sighting. This time it occurred at a hardware store situated a little further from the main street, where a man named O.V. White was working as a night watchman. On that quiet night, he heard strange noises emanating from outside the street and immediately grabbed his rifle, rushing outside to investigate. What he encountered was a large horrifying figure perched atop the telephone pole on the street, about 15 feet away from his standing spot. However, before White could even raise his rifle, the creature unfurled its wings and released a horrendous memory-erasing stench. Overwhelmed by the foul odor, White dropped to his knees, choking and coughing, and the creature then flew away into the darkness, reportedly passing over the head of one of the shopkeepers in the town. The commotion stirred by the strange noises outside the hardware store roused another local co-owner of the establishment from his slumber. According to his claims, he ventured outside to investigate the source of the disturbance, and as he stepped onto the street, his eyes beheld a sight beyond belief: a humanoid winged creature descending from the telephone pole, using its large beak to climb. Upon reaching the ground, the creature stood tall, towering at around 8 feet, resembling a monster hopping like a kangaroo. Its forehead emitted a powerful light, described as an electric headlight by the viewer, illuminating the surroundings. After surveying the area for a few moments, the creature bounded away into the night in a series of leaps and jumps, eventually taking flight with its wings. The witness stood frozen in awe and disbelief, grappling with the reality of what he had just witnessed. On the next morning, even more witnesses came forward, and among them was a high school teacher who described the creature's appearance as resembling that of a devil. The same morning, 2 previous witnesses, White and the co-owner, claimed to have seen the creature heading towards the abandoned coal mine, around which the city had originally been built. The strange saga continued on the evening of the same day, when some men from the town were reportedly tasked with investigating near the coal mine when they were suddenly drawn to a series of creepy sounds resembling those of a person being strangled. The men described the sound as satanic, reportedly prompting articles to quote, "Presently, the noise opened up again as though Satan and a regiment of imps were coming forth for battle." After the awful sound, the men ventured to investigate at the entrance of the coal mine, and to their shock, they encountered the winged beast face to face, lurking at the mine entrance, albeit smaller in size than the previous sighting. Behind the smaller creature, a larger one lurked with a similar figure, and upon seeing the men, both creatures emitted a blinding light from their horns and flew away as the men recovered their vision. As rumors of the creature's sightings spread rapidly, many members of society concluded that the old abandoned coal mine served as the creature's lair, since the mine's extensive network of tunnels and caverns provided ample hiding spots for such a monstrous creature. Believing the coal mine to be the creature's dwelling place, a group of brave individuals decided to investigate further. Confronted by the concerned citizens, the mayor called upon the mine director Mr. Platt to explain his responsibilities and address the reports of the mysterious creature. Mr. Platt revealed that some of his workers had indeed reported hearing strange sounds emanating from the depths of the long-abandoned shafts near the main site. However, their claims had been dismissed as nonsense or mere daydreaming by the management. Heavily armed with an array of weapons, and fueled by a mix of fear and determination, a group of young men embarked on a mission to lay a hasty ambush for the creatures at the entrance of the coal mine. Their orders were clear from the mayor of the city, to call out to the police at the first sign of the creature's presence. As the creatures returned, the waiting group didn't hesitate to unleash a barrage of gunfire. However, to their astonishment, the bullets had no effect whatsoever, only resulting in the emission of a noxious odor and inhuman screams. Undeterred by the firepower, the creatures swiftly retreated back into the depths of the mine. Determined to prevent any further encounters, the men quickly devised a plan and decided to dynamite the entrance to the shaft, sealing off any possibility of the creatures escaping. With the explosion echoing through the night, the entrance to the mine was effectively blocked, ensuring that the creatures could never emerge again. Following this decisive action, the creatures were never seen again, leaving behind a lingering sense of mystery and unease in the town. One article in the newspaper later quoted, "The reception they received would have sunk the Spanish fleet, but aside from the unearthly noise and peculiar odor, they did not seem to mind it, but slowly descended the shaft of the old mine." From that day on, the Van Meter creature remained permanently locked up inside the mine, likely starving to death. The people of the area had experienced a month of horror unlike anything in their history, but now Van Meter was once again a peaceful town, easy to live in, with nothing to distract from ordinary life. In the 1980s, a new visitor to the town, unaware of the creature's history, claimed to have witnessed a 5-foot-long bat-like creature flying over his head while walking near the coal mine. Despite this claim, no evidence was ever found. Then in the early 2000s, a man driving with his family reported seeing a giant bird-like creature lying dead on the side of the road, yet upon returning to investigate, no evidence of the bird was found. Adding to the existing mystery, in 2006 a pastor claimed to witness a dragon flying in the sky while waiting for his friend in Colfax, Iowa. When he returned home, he searched Iowa Dragon, and was shocked to find a picture of what he had just seen, the Van Meter visitor. In 2014, a couple camping in Iowa reported encountering a giant bird and described its features as resembling the Van Meter visitor. As the years passed, the legend of the Van Meter visitor continued to haunt the town, leaving residents to wonder about the true nature of the mysterious creature that once terrorized their streets. Was it merely a figment of their imaginations, or did something truly otherworldly once roam the darkened alleys and abandoned mines of Van Meter? The persistence of the legend hints at a potential return, threatening to once again terrorize Van Meter.